In the heart of Brazil's northeast, where the sun seems never to rest and the earth breathes dust and life, stretches a biome unique in the world, the Caatinga. It is a landscape of extremes, where only the most ingenious survive. Among thorns, cacti, and eternal droughts lives a surprising fauna, full of strategies, colors, and secrets. Today, we will discover 15 incredible animals that defy the heat, scarcity, and time, to remind us that life always finds a way to continue. 1. Brazilian three-banded armadillo, Tatu-bola toleputes tricinctus. In the arid heart of the Brazilian northeast, where the earth cracks under the sun and rain is a scarce visitor, lives a creature that seems straight out of a tale of natural ingenuity. The Tatu-bola, Brazilian three-banded armadillo. Small, discreet, and surprisingly tough, this armadillo is the living emblem of the Caatinga, the driest biome in South America. Unlike other armadillos, the Tatu-bola possesses a unique ability in the entire animal kingdom. It can roll completely into a perfect sphere. Its shell, a natural armor composed of flexible bony plates, closes with such precision that it keeps out even the surrounding hot air. It is its most effective defense against predators, which can only look on, powerless, at this armored ball impossible to bite or open. This peculiar talent made it a symbol of protection and adaptability. It's no coincidence that Brazil chose it as the official mascot for the 2014 FIFA World Cup, under the name of Fuleco, a nod to ecology. Behind that fame, however, there is a much deeper story, one of the fragile balance between survival and threat. The Tatu-bola is endemic to the Brazilian northeast, meaning it exists nowhere else on the planet. It lives in regions where thorny vegetation dominates the landscape and temperatures exceed 40 degrees Celsius. In these extreme conditions, it has developed ingenious strategies. Its metabolism slows to a minimum during the hottest hours, and it feeds mainly on insects it finds by digging the ground with its powerful front claws. But the most fascinating thing is its ability to read the weather. Before a storm, it usually leaves its burrows, as if sensing the humidity that will soon soften the earth. The inhabitants of the Caatinga have learned to observe it as a small natural oracle. If the Tatu-bola appears, they say, rain is near. However, its survival is far from secure. Agricultural expansion, deforestation, and illegal hunting have drastically reduced its habitat. For years, it was thought to be nearly extinct until it was rediscovered in protected areas. Today, thanks to conservation programs, its population is slowly beginning to recover. Seeing one in the wild remains a privilege, a scene that summarizes the tenacity of life in the Caatinga. Beyond its curious appearance, the Tatu-bola plays an essential ecological role. By excavating the soil in search of food, it aerates the earth, helps distribute seeds, and controls insect populations. It is a small ecosystem engineer, maintaining the invisible balance of the desert. Despite its dry and harsh appearance, the Caatinga is a territory of resistance. Every species that inhabits it, from birds to snakes, embodies a lesson in adaptation. The Tatu-bola was the first to teach it. Strength is not always in might, but in the way one protects the essential. In this way, the little Tatu-bola not only symbolizes the Caatinga, but also nature's ability to survive with elegance, even in the most unforgiving environments. And as the wind raises the golden dust of the Brazilian northeast, this tiny guardian continues to roll through history, reminding us that the key to life lies in the balance between vulnerability and defense. 2. Oncilla or northern tiger cat, Leopardus tigrinus. When the sun sinks behind the thorny shrubs and the Caatinga is tinged with orange tones, another inhabitant awakens and takes over from the Tatu-bola. It is the oncilla, gato do mato in Portuguese, a small, elusive wildcat that moves through the shadows as if it were part of them. Where the Tatu-bola defends itself by closing in on itself, the oncilla survives by disappearing from view. Its coat, speckled with golden and black spots, blends with the dry landscape, the cracked earth, and the wind-twisted scrub. It measures little more than half a meter, but its elegance and precision are on par with the continent's big cats. In the Caatinga, where every movement must be justified by energy, this feline is a master of stealth and economy of effort. During the night, it patrols its territory with light, almost inaudible steps. It hunts small rodents, birds, insects, and, when the opportunity allows, some unsuspecting reptile. It does not need to run. It approaches slowly, stops, measures the distance, and leaps with the precision of a spring. Its attack is brief and clean, an instinctive choreography refined by thousands of years of adaptation. But beyond its skill as a hunter, the oncilla is an ecosystem thermometer. Its presence indicates that the trophic chain, the delicate balance between prey and predators, is still functioning. If it disappears, it is a sign that something bigger is failing. The oncilla also has a trait that surprises even biologists. It can vary its activity according to the environment. In regions where larger predators, like the puma, abound, it becomes more nocturnal. But in quiet areas, it even ventures out at dawn. This flexibility is one of the reasons it has survived in such a changeable and extreme landscape. However, its greatest enemy has neither fangs nor claws. It is human advancement. Deforestation and habitat fragmentation have reduced its territory, forcing it to move between increasingly isolated patches of vegetation. Even so, its instinct allows it to adapt to the edges of crops and small towns, where it continues to hunt discreetly, unseen. Sometimes, locals mistake it for a domestic cat, although one look into its eyes, deep, golden, restless, is enough to notice the difference. It belongs to no one and seeks no company. The oncilla is a symbol of wild independence, a reminder that nature is not always tamed. In the scorching silence of the Caatinga, this feline represents the reverse of the tatubola. If the latter survives by locking itself in, the oncilla does so by blending into the environment. Two distinct strategies, one goal: to resist. Thus, every night, as the wind blows and the stars watch from above, the oncilla continues its round. Invisible, patient, essential. A small hunter that keeps alive the silent harmony of Brazil's driest biome. 3. Howler monkey, Aluata ululata. In the Caatinga, when the night begins to yield and the horizon is barely tinged with light, a deep sound cuts through the dry air. It is a roar that seems to surge from the bowels of the forest, the call of the howler monkey, Guariba, or Aluata ululata. Its voice, grave and vibrant, can be heard for miles. There is no other sound like it in this biome. It is the morning anthem of the Brazilian Northeast, an announcement that life, even in the aridity, is still beating. The howler monkey is a robust primate with reddish or dark brown fur that inhabits the last patches of humid forest within the Caatinga. There, among twisted branches and scattered foliage, it moves with a majestic calm, using its prehensile tail as a fifth limb. This strong and sensitive tail allows it to hang from trees and move without difficulty, a detail that demonstrates its perfect adaptation to the environment. Its roar has a function beyond sonic beauty. It is a communication and defense strategy. Males emit it to mark their territory and warn rival groups, avoiding physical confrontations that would consume valuable energy. In an environment where every calorie counts, sound becomes a tool of power. Curiously, that roar comes from a special bone structure in its throat, the hyoid bone, which acts as a natural sound box. During the day, the howler monkey maintains a slow pace. It feeds mainly on leaves, fruits, and flowers, carefully selecting the most tender branches. It is a calm animal with a thoughtful gaze that spends a good part of the time resting to conserve energy. However, when the group moves, it does so with surprising coordination. Females carry their young on their backs, while males watch from the highest treetops. This monkey is a key piece in the ecological balance of the Caatinga, as it disperses seeds through its movements. Every fruit it consumes ends up contributing to the rebirth of the forest, sowing life in a terrain that many would consider barren. In a way, the howler monkey acts as the gardener of the desert, helping to maintain the plant diversity that sustains so many other species. Nevertheless, its natural serenity contrasts with the fragility of its situation. Deforestation has fragmented its habitat and reduced the areas where it can live freely. many groups survive in isolation, surrounded by farmland or livestock areas, without the possibility of genetic exchange. Even so, the howler monkey resists, clinging to the trees that still stand. In a biome where many animals hide or fall silent to survive, the howler monkey raises its voice. Its song is resistance, identity, and permanence. Every echo that is lost among the cacti and rocks is a declaration of existence. Life persists, even in the places where it seems impossible. Thus, as the sun rises over the land whitened by drought, the howler monkey's roar slowly fades, leaving in the air a sense of quiet strength. It is the sonic guardian of the Caatinga, the one that announces the dawn, and reminds us that, under the relentless heat, nature continues to sing. 4. Striped hog-nosed skunk, Conepodus semistriatus. In the dry landscapes of the Caatinga, where the air seems still and the ground opens in deep cracks, hides a small animal that needs neither fangs nor claws to defend itself. It is called the striped hog-nosed skunk, Geritadica, and although its appearance is reminiscent of a striped skunk, its survival strategy is literally unforgettable for anyone who gets too close. Its most feared defense is not speed or strength, but odor. When threatened, the skunk emits a foul-smelling liquid from glands located under its tail. This spray, loaded with sulfurous compounds, can reach several meters and leave an olfactory mark that lasts for entire days. For predators, the message is clear. The risk is not worth it. Under that smelly reputation, however, hides a meticulous hunter. The skunk spends its nights digging the dry soil with its front paws, searching for insects, larvae, and small reptiles. It possesses a sense of smell so fine that it can detect its prey under layers of sun-hardened earth. When it finds something, it unearths it with surgical precision and feeds calmly, without waste. During the day, it avoids the heat by taking refuge in abandoned burrows or among roots. Its fur, black with a white stripe running along its back, is not just decoration. It acts as a visual warning. In nature, contrasting colors are often a warning, a way of saying, "do not approach," and the skunk knows this well. This small mammal is also a silent ally of the ecosystem. By controlling insect populations and by digging, it helps aerate the soil and improve its quality. Its presence maintains balance in an environment where resources are scarce, and each species plays a precise role. The curious thing is that, despite its foul-smelling reputation, the skunk is a calm and timid animal. It only resorts to its chemical weapon when it has no escape. First, it tries to flee. If it cannot, it stands up on its front paws, arches its body, and displays its tail, a theatrical gesture that serves as a final warning. If the intruder insists, then it fires. Researchers who have studied it assure that its aim is so precise that it could be considered biological high-technology defense. Throughout the centuries, the inhabitants of the Caatinga have learned to respect it. Many farmers even consider it a symbol of natural cleanliness, because it eliminates insects that damage crops. Some popular tales portray it as a protective spirit of the bush, patrolling the surroundings of rural houses at night. But, like so many other Caatinga animals, the skunk faces the threat of habitat loss. Agricultural expansion and intentional fires increasingly reduce its refuges. Even so, it continues to find ways to adapt, establishing its burrows near areas where insects abound, even at the edges of roads or crops. When night once again envelops the Caatinga and the echoes of the day dissolve, the skunk begins its silent round. One barely hears the crunch of the ground under its paws, only a slight movement in the shadows. Discreet, efficient, and perfectly adapted, it continues to traverse its territory with the patience that characterizes the true survivors of the Brazilian desert. 5. Red-legged Seriema, Cariama cristata. Among the dry scrub and twisted cacti of the Caatinga, a figure arises that seems to have stepped out of another era. With long legs, a fierce gaze, and an elegant stride, the red-legged Seriema, a tall bird with grayish plumage and a messy crest, walks with the confidence of one who dominates its territory. In a landscape where water is scarce and life hides, it moves calmly, observing every corner, every movement. Its gait is reminiscent of ancient dinosaurs, and it is not an exaggerated comparison. Its ancestors shared the world with them. The Seriema, whose scientific name is Cariama cristata, is one of the most charismatic and surprising birds of the biome. Unlike most birds of prey, it does not hunt from the air. It prefers the solid ground. It walks with long, almost theatrical steps, inspecting the soil for prey. Its diet includes insects, small mammals, and, especially, snakes, which it hunts with a mix of intelligence and brutal efficiency. When it finds one, it grabs it with its beak and repeatedly slams it against a stone or the hardened ground until it is motionless. Then, it lifts its head and swallows it in a single motion. It is a spectacle as violent as it is fascinating. A dance of survival where elegance and ferocity are blurred. For this reason, the inhabitants of the Caatinga describe it with respect. The one who walks like a queen and hunts like a warrior. Despite its fierce appearance, the Seriema is not an aggressive creature. It lives in pairs or small family groups and is known for its powerful and melodious song, a long undulating cry that resonates for miles. On cool mornings, its voice mixes with that of the howler monkey, composing the natural symphony of the Caatinga. Locals say that when the Seriema sings, the day will be good. Curiously, this bird does not depend on water to survive. It obtains the moisture it needs from its food and endures temperatures that would cause other species to faint. Its light plumage reflects the sun, and its long legs keep it away from the heat of the ground. It is a perfect example of evolutionary adaptation, a body designed to resist, move, and hunt in the aridity. In addition to its ecological value as a natural controller of snakes and pests, the Seriema holds a deep cultural role. Its figure appears in songs, myths, and popular artworks of the Brazilian Northeast. For many, it represents cunning and courage, the intelligence that overcomes danger. When the day ends and the heat begins to subside, it seeks refuge in the shrubs or climbs onto a low branch to spend the night. From there, it contemplates the landscape with its intelligent gaze, like a sentinel of the arid plains. At dawn, it will once again traverse its territory, gliding among shadows and thorns with the grace of one who has belonged there forever. In the Caatinga, where survival is an art, the Seriema embodies a fundamental lesson. Strength can also walk with elegance. In every firm step and every resonant song, it reminds the observer that even in the toughest environments, nature not only resists, it also expresses itself with beauty. 6. Gray brocket deer, Mazama guasubira. In the scorching silence of the Caatinga, when the air thickens and the sun falls like fire upon the earth, a timid figure appears among the scrub. Its steps are soft, its gaze alert. It is the gray brocket deer, Mazama guasubira, which has learned the art of surviving where life seems to surrender. Unlike its relatives in humid forests or mountains, this deer lives among thorns and dryness. It does not depend on green grasses or abundant streams. Instead, it feeds on dry leaves, tough shoots, and cacti, from which it obtains the water it needs. Its diet, which might seem poor, is actually a masterful strategy of adaptation to an unpredictable environment. Its fur, in shades of brown and gray, blends with the arid landscape. It is its best camouflage against predators. At the slightest noise, it stops, tenses its muscles, and freezes. If the threat persists, it flees with surprising agility, leaping between dry branches and stones with the precision of an acrobat. In the Caatinga, where there is no room for error, discretion is its shield. This deer does not live in large groups. It prefers solitude, or small families consisting of a female and her fawn. Its reserved nature has kept it out of human sight for centuries, which explains why so little is still known about its habits today. Researchers who managed to spot it describe it as a cautious, silent animal, deeply aware of its surroundings, capable of detecting danger before it manifests. When extreme drought arrives, the gray brocket deer shows its most admirable resistance. It can go for long periods without drinking water, relying on the moisture it gets from its food. Its kidneys are so efficient that they retain every drop, an example of physiological perfection forged by necessity. This adaptation makes it one of the few herbivores capable of surviving in the driest zones of the biome. Its presence, discreet but constant, is proof that life always finds a way. In the vast dryness of the Caatinga, its light figure glides among the shadows, reminding us that true strength does not always roar. Sometimes it simply walks in silence. During twilight, when the heat subsides and reddish tones cover the earth, the brocket deer allows itself to be seen for a few moments before disappearing into the bushes. Its silhouette dissolves in the distance, like an illusion. And yet, it remains there, resisting every season, every drought, every threat. The gray brocket deer is, in essence, a living lesson in adaptation. It represents the humility with which nature faces the challenge of survival, without drama, without violence, only with constancy and wisdom. Its calm gaze summarizes the entire history of the Caatinga, a biome that does not give up, that learns, that reinvents itself. 7. Puma concolor. When the sun sets over the golden horizon of the Caatinga, and the shadows begin to stretch among the dry shrubs, the puma enters the scene, silent, invisible, the absolute ruler of the night. Although its image is usually associated with the Andean mountains or the continent's jungles, this great feline also inhabits the arid heart of the Brazilian northeast. There, among cacti and rocks scorched by the heat, it fulfills its ancestral role, that of the supreme predator. Its mere presence commands respect. With an agile, muscular body and a penetrating gaze, the puma concolor is a hunter of patience and precision. In the Caatinga, where resources are scarce and water is a treasure, every movement counts. The puma knows this, and so it advances with the calm of one who does not need to rush. Its strength is not in speed, but in control. During the night, it patrols vast territories, following almost invisible paths that only it knows. Its favorite prey are deer, armadillos, rodents, and large birds, although it does not disdain livestock when game is scarce, which often puts it in conflict with rural inhabitants. But even then, the puma avoids direct confrontation. It is a master of stealth and distance, a phantom that prefers to observe before acting. Its roar is rare, almost never heard. Unlike the world's big cats, the puma does not roar. It whispers. It emits soft growls, as if nature itself had taught it to move without leaving a trace. And yet, its presence is felt. Fresh tracks on the sand, a freshly caught prey, the sudden silence of the bush, signs that the great feline has passed. In the balance of the biome, the puma plays an essential role. It regulates herbivore populations and maintains the natural order of the food chain. Where it is, biodiversity flourishes. Its disappearance, on the other hand, unbalances the ecosystem. Small animals multiply, plants suffer, and the landscape is impoverished. Therefore, its existence represents not only power, but ecological balance and health. Even so, the greatest challenge for this predator does not come from nature, but from humans. Habitat loss and retaliatory hunting have reduced its presence in the region. However, conservation programs and the expansion of protected areas have allowed the puma to slowly reclaim its ancestral territory. Those who have been fortunate enough to spot it describe it as a golden shadow among the scrub, a fleeting movement that leaves behind a sense of mystery. It is the symbol of silent strength, of contained power, of life that does not need to show itself to dominate. Thus, as the full moon illuminates the Caatinga and the wind raises the dust of the night, the puma continues its path. Solitary, vigilant, essential. Its gaze reflects the very spirit of the biome. Resilient, untamed, beautiful in its rawness. In the chain of life in the Caatinga, the puma is not only the hunter, but also the guardian. Its silence maintains order, its presence commands respect, and its persistence reminds us that even in the toughest places, wildlife always finds a way to remain. 8. Argentine black and white tegu, Salvator Mariani. Under the relentless sun of the Caatinga, when the earth seems to burn and the air vibrates like a mirage, a reptile emerges that seems to have stepped out of another era. It moves with calculated slowness. Its scaly body shines under the light, and each step raises a cloud of dust. It is the tegu, or Argentine black and white tegu, Salvator Mariani, a giant over a meter in length, a blend of strength, curiosity, and cunning. In a biome where survival is a matter of ingenuity, the tegu has become a true opportunist. It eats almost everything it finds: ripe fruits, insects, small vertebrates, bird eggs, and even carrion. This insatiable appetite transforms it into a natural cleanser of the ecosystem. Where the tegu passes, the land is renewed. By turning over the soil in search of food, it aerates the ground, disperses seeds, and keeps insects in check. It is, in a way, an involuntary gardener of the desert. Its appearance commands respect. With a robust body, triangular head, and skin covered in black and white scales that reflect the light, it looks like a small terrestrial dragon. But beyond its intimidating appearance, the tegu is an animal of calm habits. It only becomes aggressive when it feels cornered, at which point it opens its mouth, showing its powerful teeth, and emits a hiss that discourages any intruder. One of its most fascinating characteristics is its intelligence. Various studies have shown that the tegu is capable of recognizing places, remembering routes, and even displaying exploratory behaviors unusual for a reptile. Some compare it to old-world monitor lizards for its learning capacity. Even in captivity, it can get used to human presence and respond to stimuli with notable curiosity. Despite its ecological importance, this reptile faces constant threats. Poaching, habitat loss, and illegal exotic animal trafficking have reduced its numbers in some regions. However, its natural resistance and broad distribution have allowed it to remain one of the most tenacious symbols of life in the Caatinga. The tegu is also a reminder of evolutionary wisdom. Its body, designed to resist heat and conserve moisture, is a masterpiece of adaptation. Every scale, every muscle, every reflex is designed to survive an environment that does not forgive. And yet, in the midst of the aridity, this reptile finds time for rest, exploration, and curiosity. Its serene stride summarizes the philosophy of the biome: adapt, resist, take advantage of every opportunity. The tegu does not fight against the Caatinga. It lives with it, understanding its rhythms, its limits, and its rewards. And so, this colossal lizard continues to be one of the most amazing creatures in the Brazilian Northeast, an essential piece in the delicate puzzle of life in the desert. 9. Boa constrictor, Boa constrictor amarali. In the stillness of the afternoon, when the heat begins to subside and shadows lengthen over the stony ground of the Caatinga, something glides between the rocks without making the slightest sound. There is no haste in its movement, only an ancient, almost hypnotic elegance. It is the Amaril's boa constrictor, Boa constrictor amarali, one of the silent queens of the biome. Powerful, patient, and perfectly adapted to this landscape of contrasts. At first glance, its body seems like an extension of the terrain. The gray and brown tones of its scales mimic the color of the dry earth and the stones calcined by the sun. This camouflage is its best weapon. It allows it to go unnoticed by both its prey and its potential predators. It can remain motionless for hours, even days, awaiting the exact opportunity. And when the moment arrives, it acts with surgical precision. The boa does not bite to kill. Its strategy is the lethal embrace. With a sudden and precise movement, it coils around its victim, which can be a rodent, a bird, or even a small mammal, and slowly suffocates it. There is no noise, no blood, only the weight of force and patience. Once finished, it swallows its prey whole, demonstrating a digestive capacity as astonishing as it is unsettling. Its role within the ecosystem is fundamental. By controlling populations of small animals, it maintains the ecological balance and prevents pests that could harm vegetation or nearby crops. The boa is, therefore, a discreet guardian of natural order, a hunter that regulates life without the need for visible violence. Despite its feared reputation, this reptile does not pose a threat to humans. It prefers to avoid contact, and if encountered in the field, it usually retreats without attacking. Its temperament is surprisingly calm, a trait that has allowed it to survive for millennia in a hostile environment. However, superstition and fear have led to many being unnecessarily hunted, reducing its presence in some areas of the Caatinga. When the sun sets and night covers the dry desert, the boa emerges with renewed energy. Its eyes, sensitive to the slightest vibration, detect the heat of its potential prey. It is then that the biome becomes its domain. No movement escapes its perception. Every foreign breath, every step on the dust can mark the end of a patient wait. Thus, between shadows and silence, the boa constrictor continues its eternal cycle. Hunt, feed, rest, and disappear back among the rocks. A shadow that slides between life and death, between the visible and the hidden. A symbol of the natural patience that defines this biome of extremes, where survival is earned not by speed, but by the wisdom of waiting for the right moment. 10. Cactus parakeet, Upsitula coctorum. In the midst of the harsh landscape of the Caatinga, where the ochre and muted green tones of cacti and dry shrubs predominate, a flash of color and life emerges. It is the cactus parakeet, Periquito carasucia, a small parrot with green feathers and an orange face that breaks the silence with its unmistakable clamor. In an environment dominated by austerity, its presence is an explosion of winged joy. This bird, known scientifically as Upsitula cactorum, is one of the most common and beloved in the biome. It moves in noisy and perfectly coordinated flocks, which cross the sky like green arrows, filling the air with sharp and contagious squawks. When they fly over the dried-up landscape, they seem to celebrate life itself, reminding us that even in the most arid places, nature finds reasons to sing. During hours of intense heat, the cactus parakeet seeks refuge among columnar cacti or on the thorny branches of shrubs. There it groups with its companions, preening feathers or resting in silence, as if the whole world stopped for an instant. When the sun begins to descend, its inexhaustible energy awakens. It flies again, screams again, and fills the Caatinga with movement. Its diet is varied, which has allowed it to successfully adapt to such a challenging environment. It eats fruits, seeds, and flowers, but it also knows how to take advantage of human crops, which sometimes makes it an unwelcome visitor for farmers. However, its ecological role is crucial. By dispersing the seeds of cacti and other plants, it helps to regenerate the biome, keeping alive the vegetation that sustains other species. Beyond its ecological function, the cactus parakeet is also a symbol of community and resistance. Its life revolves around the group. It eats in groups, sleeps in groups, and flees in groups. This unity is its best defense against predators. At the slightest sign of danger, a single alarm call is enough for the entire flock to rise in a whirlwind of green feathers and deafening squawks. Nevertheless, this species also faces threats. Habitat loss and the illegal bird trade have reduced its populations in some areas. Even so, its adaptability and its gregarious spirit have allowed it to persist, even in landscapes most transformed by human action. Where there are cacti and a little shade, the cactus parakeet finds a home. Thus, between squawks and green flashes, this tiny bird continues to remind everyone that the Caatinga is not an empty desert, but a vibrant territory, full of ingenuity and color. In every flight, in every shared cry, the cactus parakeet reaffirms its role as the winged ambassador of hope in one of the planet's most challenging ecosystems. 11. Six-banded armadillo, Euphracis sexcinctus. Among the cracked soils of the Caatinga, where the heat seems to melt the horizon, hides a small subsoil engineer, the six-banded armadillo, Euphracis sexcinctus. Although it is more common than the famous tatubola, it is no less one of the most intriguing creatures of the biome. Its body, covered by a shell of hard plates, looks like a prehistoric armor designed to resist any threat. The six-banded armadillo lives between shadows and silences. During the day, when the sun is directly overhead and the air is scorching, it prefers to take refuge underground. With its strong front claws, it digs deep, cool burrows, true thermal shelters that can reach several meters in length. There, the heat dissipates, moisture is preserved, and life continues, even when the surface seems uninhabitable. The most curious thing is that this small excavator is not selfish with its constructions. Frequently, other Caatinga animals use its tunnels. Foxes, snakes, rodents, and even ground-dwelling birds find refuge in the armadillo's galleries. Thus, without intending to, it becomes the architect of an underground ecosystem, where different species share the same earthen roof. Its clumsy appearance and waddling gait are deceptive. Beneath that tranquil exterior hides a tough and surprisingly fast animal. When threatened, it can run with agility, or bury itself in a matter of seconds, disappearing from the predator's eyes. If there is no time to flee, it relies on its shell, a natural shield that protects it from the fiercest attacks. Unlike the tatubola, the six-banded armadillo cannot roll up completely, but its flexible carapace and powerful musculature allow it to withstand blows, bites, and even attempts at excavation by other animals. Its body structure is a brilliant example of adaptation. Light enough to move quickly, yet solid enough to endure the harsh conditions of the terrain. Furthermore, its role in soil dynamics is vital. By digging, it turns over deep layers of earth, facilitating air circulation and water filtration. This seemingly simple action contributes to the nutrient cycle and improves conditions for new plants to germinate. In other words, where there are armadillos, the earth breathes better. The six-banded armadillo also stands out for its curious and sociable behavior. Although it is usually solitary, some individuals have been observed sharing burrows during the colder or drier seasons, tolerating the presence of others of its species. This social flexibility, uncommon among armadillos, demonstrates that even in the austerity of the biome, cooperation can be a survival strategy. When dawn colors the Caatinga scrub with gold, the six-banded armadillo returns to its lair. Its tracks, almost circular, soon disappear under the dust. No one sees it, but its work continues in silence, sustaining the invisible balance of the earth. The six-banded armadillo does not have the fame of the tatubola or the charisma of the colorful birds, but its contribution to the biome is equally valuable. It summarizes the essence of the Caatinga: discretion, ingenuity, and an extraordinary capacity to transform adversity into refuge. 12. Northeast frog, Pleurodema diplolister. In the Caatinga, where the heat can last for months and the earth cracks until it looks like stone, there are creatures that have made silence a way of life. Among them stands out a master of waiting, the northeast frog, Pleurodema diplolister. Small, discreet, and with earthy tones, it spends most of the year buried under the soil, immobile, awaiting the miracle of water. During the dry season, when the landscape turns into an oven, the northeast frog disappears. It digs with its hind legs until it reaches a layer of moisture, and there it encloses itself inside a hardened skin bubble that prevents dehydration. In this silent lethargy, it can remain for entire months, even more than a year, without eating or moving. It is an extreme example of biological resistance, a natural clock that is only activated by the first rain. And then, as if life suddenly woke up, the miracle happens. The first drops hit the earth, the air is impregnated with moisture, and the Caatinga revives. Dozens, hundreds of northeast frogs emerge from the cracked soils, all at the same time, responding to the ancient call of the water. Their song fills the nights, a deafening chorus that announces the brief and frantic reproductive season. Within hours, puddles and depressions in the ground become improvised ponds where the frogs lay their eggs. The urgency is understandable. Life in the Caatinga offers no respite. These bodies of water will disappear in a few days, devoured by the sun. Therefore, the tadpoles grow at an impressive speed. In less than a week, they complete their metamorphosis and leave the water, ready to face the next cycle of drought. This dizzying pace is the key to their survival. The northeast frog does not fight the aridity. It waits for it and takes advantage of it. Its strategy is simple and brilliant. Disappear when life is impossible, and multiply when the environment allows it. In each generation, the species renews the pact with the desert, remembering that even the most extreme environments keep their own rhythm. Biologically, its body is a wonder of adaptation. During the burial period, it drastically reduces its metabolism, almost completely halting vital functions. Its tissues remain intact thanks to special proteins that prevent cellular decomposition. When the moisture returns, its skin absorbs water, and the organism reactivates its internal machinery in a matter of hours. It is as if an invisible switch between life and latency were pressed. The inhabitants of the Brazilian Northeast know this tiny creature well. Many assert that its song accurately announces the beginning of the rains, like a biological climate clock. Some even consider it a symbol of hope. When the frog sings, the earth is reborn. And it is true. Its appearance coincides with the sudden transformation of the landscape. Cacti turn green, insects emerge, birds nest again. Everything seems to coordinate with its return. In this perfect synchrony, the northeast frog plays an essential role. It feeds reptiles, birds, and small mammals, reintegrating into the life cycle that it itself helps to reactivate. The northeast frog embodies the wisdom of waiting, that ancestral strategy that allows life to resist the impossible. In a world that races, it teaches the importance of stopping, of listening to the deep rhythms of nature. Because in the Caatinga, where patience is the purest form of bravery, this small amphibian reminds us that survival is, above all, an art of synchrony with the world. 13. Jaguarundi, Herpylurus jaguarundi. On the luminous days of the Caatinga, when the sun seems to scare away almost all forms of life, a silent hunter roams the scrub. Its figure is slender, its movement fluid, almost serpentine. At first glance, it could be mistaken for a weasel, but its gaze betrays another nature. It is the jaguarundi, gato morisco, also known as Herpylurus jaguarundi, one of the most enigmatic and least known felines in South America. Unlike most wildcats, the jaguarundi prefers the light of day. While other hunters rest in the shade, it patrols the clearings of the biome with an agile and calculated step. This diurnal habit gives it a unique advantage: less competition and more opportunities to find prey distracted by the heat. Its body, long and flexible, is designed to slide through low vegetation and pursue its victims, small birds, rodents, and lizards, with surgical precision. Its fur is a uniform tone, varying between dark gray, brown, and reddish, depending on the region. Without spots or stripes, it perfectly mimics the arid soil and the dry trunks of the landscape. Its face, with an elongated muzzle and small ears, gives it an almost primitive look. There is something in its expression that combines curiosity, calmness, and danger, as if the feline were a shadow that thinks before moving. The jaguarundi is also a master of acoustic stealth. It emits sounds so soft they are barely perceptible, but when it communicates, its repertoire is surprising. It meows, whistles, purrs, and even lets out chirps that resemble the song of certain birds. This vocal talent helps it to blend into its surroundings, or to communicate with other individuals at a distance. Unlike the puma, its larger relative, the jaguarundi does not depend on large prey or extensive territories. Its flexible diet allows it to adapt to the toughest conditions of the biome. If food is scarce, it is content with insects or small reptiles. If game is abundant, it can feed on wild rabbits or iguanas. This dietary versatility is the key to its success in an environment as unpredictable as the Caatinga. It is not uncommon to see it moving near temporary rivers or rocky areas, where it finds both prey and refuge. Although it is a solitary animal, it tolerates the presence of other felines in its territory, as long as there is enough space and food. It moves with discretion, without conflicts, fulfilling a vital ecological role, controlling populations of rodents and small birds, thus balancing the ecosystem dynamics. Despite its discretion, the jaguarundi has been a victim of human misunderstanding. For a long time, it was persecuted due to superstition, being mistaken for barnyard predators or evil animals. However, today it is recognized as an essential piece of the natural balance. Its disappearance would lead to an increase in pests and alter the biome's food chain. Beyond its ecological role, this feline embodies a sober beauty, without extravagance. It lacks the spots of the ocelot or the majestic bearing of the puma, but its elegance lies in simplicity. It is an animal that does not need to draw attention to dominate its environment. Every one of its movements is measured, Every pause has a purpose. When the afternoon begins to fall, the jaguarundi stops, observes the horizon, and disappears into the bushes with the same discretion with which it appeared. Its presence leaves a sense of mystery, as if it were a shadow that the desert engenders and claims every day. In the Caatinga, where life is expressed in extremes, the jaguarundi represents silent intelligence, cunning without arrogance, adaptation without noise. A feline that hunts when no one else does, and that demonstrates once again that survival belongs to those who know how to read nature's hidden rhythms. 14. Northeast rattlesnake, Crotalus dorissus cascavella. In the dried-up heart of the Caatinga, where the wind moves the dust and silence dominates the landscape, an unmistakable sound breaks the calm. A dry, metallic, insistent rattle. It is the warning voice of the northeast rattlesnake, Crotalus dorissus cascavella, one of the most feared and also most fascinating creatures of the biome. Its rattle does not announce attack, but prudence, a reminder that respect is the best way to coexist between species. This snake, with a robust body and mottled skin in sandy and brown tones, blends with the ground. Its camouflage is so perfect that it can go unnoticed even a few steps away. It prefers dry and stony terrains, where it glides with elegance and precision, hunting small rodents, birds, and lizards. But, contrary to its reputation, the rattlesnake does not seek conflict. Its instinct is not to attack, but to warn. Only when it feels threatened does it activate its famous sonic instrument, the rattle, formed by keratin rings at the tip of its tail, which vibrates at such a rapid pace that it sounds like miniature thunder. Its venom, however, is as potent as it is complex. It contains a mixture of toxins that affect the nervous and muscular systems of its prey, causing a quick and efficient death. But the most surprising thing is that this very venom has aroused the interest of modern science. Brazilian researchers have discovered medically promising molecules in its components, useful for the development of analgesics, neurological treatments, and even cancer therapies. The snake that for years was a symbol of fear could, in the future, become a source of healing. When not hunting, the rattlesnake seeks refuge under rocks, fallen logs, or abandoned burrows, often those of the six-banded armadillo. It spends the hottest hours of the day there, emerging only at dusk or during the night when the air becomes breathable. Its movement is hypnotic, a soft, silent undulation that seems to divide the dust. Every move seems measured, as if it were dancing with the landscape. Despite its fearsome reputation, the rattlesnake plays a fundamental ecological role. By controlling rodent populations, it prevents the spread of diseases and protects crops. Without it, the biome's balance would be broken. However, ignorance and fear have led to its constant persecution. In many regions, it is still hunted as soon as it is seen, without understanding that its disappearance would leave a dangerous void in the ecosystem. When night covers the Caatinga and the stars reflect the shine of its scales, the rattlesnake moves through the shadows, hunting silently, breathing in rhythm with the wind. It is a symbol of power and balance, a figure that embodies the border between fear and admiration. In its venom there is science, in its sound, wisdom. The northeast rattlesnake represents the essential duality of nature. Dangerous, yes, but necessary. And as long as its rattle continues to vibrate among the scrub, the Caatinga will remember that even the most feared beings can be silent guardians of life. 15. Crested caracara, Caracara plancus. In the burning skies of the Caatinga, a dark silhouette is outlined against the sun. It does not fly with the elegance of the falcon or the solemnity of the condor. Its flight is firm, calculated, almost defiant. It is the crested caracara, Caracara plancus, a bird of prey with a shrewd gaze and an indomitable spirit, a living symbol of the resistance of the Brazilian Northeast. The caracara does not fear the emptiness or the midday fire. While other birds seek shade, it patrols the open skies in search of opportunities. Because if anything defines this creature, it is its opportunistic intelligence. It is neither a pure hunter nor a simple scavenger. It is both at once, and this duality makes it one of the most adaptable animals in the Caatinga. Its diet covers everything the environment offers: small reptiles, insects, rodents, eggs, fruits, and even the remains of dead animals. Where others do not survive, the caracara prospers. Its appearance commands respect. With its dark plumage, light chest, and a head crowned by a powerful beak, it resembles an ancient soldier watching the horizon. When it walks on the ground, because yes, it also walks, it does so with an almost theatrical certainty, observing every corner with the precision of a strategist. Its strong legs allow it to cover long distances among scrub, looking for any feeding opportunity. This mix of flying and firm walking makes it a complete explorer of the biome, dominating both air and land. But beyond its ability to survive, the caracara is a cultural symbol deeply rooted in the imagination of the Northeast. Its name resonates in songs, legends, and popular sayings. It represents the courage of the people who inhabit those dry lands, the ability to resist with ingenuity, to advance despite scarcity. Farmers observe it as a free spirit, an emblem of dignity and cunning in a world where nature tests every breath. Among the curiosities that most fascinate ornithologists is its social behavior. Unlike many solitary raptors, the caracara can form stable pairs or small family groups that cooperate in the search for food. It also shows a surprising learning capacity. It has been seen using its beak and claws with precision to open hard shells or to manipulate prey hidden under stones. Some individuals even follow natural or intentional fires, waiting for the flames to reveal insects and small animals fleeing the fire. In other words, the caracara understands the landscape and takes advantage of it with practical intelligence. Its call is another of its distinctive features. A hoarse, rough, almost mocking sound that seems to announce its presence before it appears in the sky. In the dry vastness of the Caatinga, that cry becomes an echo of power and persistence. Every time its voice resonates, it seems to remind us that life, however hard, always finds a way to continue. The caracara is, in essence, the incarnation of the spirit of the Caatinga. Not the strongest, nor the fastest, but the most astute. A survivor who has made adversity his ally, and who demonstrates that intelligence, more than strength, is nature's most powerful tool. As long as its wings continue to cut the scorching air of the Northeast, the Caatinga will continue to have a guardian in the skies, one who observes, waits, and acts with the wisdom that only the desert imparts.